Well, for more on the U.S. manufacturing industry, I'm joined by Michelle Drew Rodriguez, manufacturing leader at Deloitte Center for Industry Insights. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Michelle, as we were saying, this new research from Deloitte is saying that the U.S. will overtake China when it comes to manufacturing in the next 5 years. So why is that?
It's been absolutely fascinating kind of seeing that progression and as your graph alluded to, the U.S. rising in the ranks from 2010 to by 2020 being the #1. And I think there's a lot of reasons that the over 550 global executives that we surveyed through the 2016 Global Manufacturing Competitiveness Index felt that both talent and the innovation and the changing dynamic of the manufacturing industry is really at the heart for the U.S. rising through the ranks, and that focus on advanced manufacturing. So it's no longer the old manufacturing process, but instead very advanced technologies, innovations are at the heart of that rise of the U.S.
And that's something that China's also taking note of. They already plan to upgrade its manufacturing sector with these innovation centers across the country and greater cooperation between the public and the private sector. What do you think about that strategy?
I think it's a good move on China's part. I did see that come across, and it does show the concerted efforts that not only companies but countries are making towards manufacturing. We've seen, in years of the past, governments making more of an effort because there's research, our research, as well as others through MIT and Harvard have indicated that there is a clear linkage between manufacturing and national economic prosperity. So some of these investments, such as the one that China just announced, is very evident and timely in trying to bring jobs to the two nations, try to bring a higher GDP, higher export values. So I think it's a good investment for any company and country to make.
And you mentioned innovation. You also were talking about some of the other key factors. So what is it that's really giving these big multinational firms that competitive edge?
Through our study, and we not only had executives rank the countries that they felt would be the most competitive from a manufacturing perspective, both now and 5 years from now, but also looking at the key drivers, at what drives manufacturing competitiveness. #1, first and foremost, in all of our studies from 2010, 2013 to now in 2016, talent remains first and foremost according to the global manufacturing executives that we cited. Second and third factors would be cost competitiveness and workforce productivity, as well as fourth was the supplier network. And I think when you couple all of those four top key factors, it's the innovation ecosystem. So it's no longer looking just in your traditional walls of your company, but how do you leverage and how do you partner, whether it's public-private partnerships or whether it's with your supply base. How is innovation making its way to commercialization? And I think top manufacturing companies are recognizing that and making concerted efforts to strive in those key areas.
And as your study shows, some countries are gaining ground, like India seems to be moving up the ranks, and others are losing their competitive edge. So which countries are slipping in terms of manufacturing, and why do you think that's happening?
It's interesting. We have seen, through the years, since it is our third study that we've conducted, that countries like the U.S. are rising through the ranks, as well as traditional, powerhouses. So whether it's Germany or UK or Japan, they are all from 2010 to 2016 also rising. Some of the nations that are falling happen to be, the BRIC nations. So if you look at the BRIC nations and where they were ranked in 2010 versus where they're ranked today in the future, you'll see that China's the only country that remains in the top 10 according to our index in the future. And so it's really interesting to see the global dynamic marketplace shift to a more advanced technology and innovation, and some of those traditional powerhouses kind of coming back into play.
And Michelle, lastly, as we saw, we have Hillary Clinton, who's suggesting spending $10 billion to boost manufacturing. On the Republican side, you have Donald Trump saying he's going to bring these jobs back from places like Japan, China, and Mexico through renegotiating trade deals. What do you think of these strategies?
I think, first and foremost, taking both of them into account, it's great to see that manufacturing has come back into the focal point. I think manufacturing was something that wasn't as focused on in prior elections. So I'm glad to see that politicians are taking note that manufacturing is a vital industry that should be invested in. It'll be interesting to see how these aspects play out. I think jobs, if they come back, they're likely to be different jobs, a different skill set required. Again, going to that talent, the innovation ecosystem that through the digital and physical worlds combining in manufacturing, that it'll be a new skill set that's required, but through manufacturing and the strong multiplier effect that jobs can be had in the future.
A new dawn indeed for manufacturing. We'll have to leave there. Thank you so much, Michelle Drew Rodriguez.
Thank you.